Hey guys, tonight we step into a world that might feel like it's from another time altogether. A world of tea, tranquility, and an ancient discipline where everything is measured not by the ticking of a clock, but by the breath of the earth itself. Imagine yourself walking through the cool, still corridors of a samurai's home, where every step seems to echo with purpose, and the air smells faintly of incense and polished wood. The flickering light of lanterns casts long, soft shadows, and all around you, there's a sense of calm, an undeniable rhythm to everything. You might think the life of a samurai is all about sword fights and battle strategy, but there's an entirely different side to this warrior class. You probably won't survive this journey without asking yourself, how could anyone live like this? And yet, here we are. This is the life of a samurai tea master. You've been chosen to step into a world where time isn't measured by minutes, but by moments, deliberate, beautiful moments of reflection, discipline, and art. In the quietest corners of samurai culture, away from the clash of swords and the tumult of battle, there existed a practice that was, in many ways, as rigorous and disciplined as any martial art, the art of the tea ceremony. But this wasn't just about brewing a cup of tea. Oh no, far from it. This was a sacred, almost spiritual act, deeply woven into the fabric of the samurai's way of life. It wasn't about haste or efficiency. It was about stillness, mindfulness, and deep connection with the present moment. Here, in the dim light of a purposefully designed room, surrounded by hand-selected utensils and meticulously prepared ingredients, time feels different. There are no distractions. The simple, meditative process of preparing and drinking tea takes on a sense of timelessness. The tea ceremony is not something you rush through. It's an experience, a way of life, a method of meditation disguised as an everyday activity. Historians still argue whether the samurai's love of tea and the meticulousness of their ceremonies were purely about aesthetics, or whether they served a deeper, spiritual need. Some suggest that the tea ceremony was a form of quiet contemplation, a way to center the mind before heading into battle. Others argue that it was simply an extension of the samurai's deep commitment to discipline and perfection in all aspects of their lives. Either way, the art of tea provided a much-needed balance to their otherwise violent, demanding lives, helping them to stay grounded and centered, even amidst chaos. As you step closer to the hearth, you can almost feel the atmosphere in the room shift. The flames flicker and crackle, casting their warm glow over everything, and the smell of freshly brewed tea fills the air. It's a scent so gentle, so serene, that it seems to wrap around you like a comforting embrace. In this moment, there's no room for hurry, no deadlines, no expectations. Just the slow, deliberate movements of the tea master preparing the tools, the whisk, the tea bowl, the fine, soft cloth used to clean each item with care. You watch, transfixed, as each action is performed with an almost ritualistic grace. The way the tea master handles the utensils is not hasty, but measured, each movement precise and intentional. The process is methodical. Each step follows the next in a way that feels like a quiet dance, a performance of patience and focus. You can't help but notice how everything in the room has a place, a reason for being there. There's a calm to the space, a stillness, almost as if time itself has slowed, suspended in this brief, sacred moment. It's not hard to imagine why the tea ceremony became such an important part of the samurai's life. In a world dominated by war, strategy, and discipline. Here was an opportunity to find peace, to regain balance. The simple act of making tea was more than just a pastime. It was a form of personal meditation, a way to reconnect with oneself, with nature, and with the world around. And for the samurai, who were always on edge, always prepared for battle, this kind of stillness was a necessity. As you watch the tea master, you realize something important. This wasn't just a ceremony for the samurai. It was a ceremony for all who entered this space. The tea was a symbol of hospitality, a way of sharing a moment of tranquility with others. And yet, as the tea master prepares the bowl, you begin to understand that the tea ceremony also reflects a deeper philosophy, a quiet reverence for the passing of time and the fleeting nature of life. In every gesture, in every step of the preparation, there's an understanding that everything is temporary. That life, much like the tea, is something to be savored before it fades away. Historians have long debated the origins and significance of the tea ceremony among the samurai. Some say it was purely practical, a means of maintaining inner peace before heading into battle. Others suggest it was part of a wider cultural shift, with tea drinking becoming a symbol of refinement and grace. What's clear, though, is that the ceremony was integral to the samurai ethos, an act of calm amidst chaos, a moment of mindfulness in a life otherwise full of intensity. The room is silent, save for the quiet clinking of utensils as the tea master prepares the matcha. You can hear the soft swish of the whisk as it cuts through the tea, creating frothy waves that gently rise to the surface. The movements are delicate yet purposeful. Every stroke is intentional, a balance of speed and grace. The tea master's face is calm, eyes focused on the bowl before him. This isn't just about the tea. It's a moment of deep concentration, an opportunity for mindfulness that extends beyond the physical act itself. As you observe, you begin to realize how much the tea master's ritual mirrors the life of the samurai. The samurai, I too, were warriors of discipline and focus, often forced to balance their emotions and actions in the heat of battle. In a way, the tea ceremony served as both a physical and mental preparation, just as the samurai honed their skill with the sword. They honed their mind and spirit through the delicate, thoughtful practice of tea making. You can almost see the tea master's training reflected in every movement. Each whisk, each deliberate pour of water, speaks to years of learning, of understanding the importance of balance and symmetry. The tea master's role isn't just that of a servant. It is one of high respect and dedication. His task is not merely to prepare tea, but to guide those who partake in the ceremony through a quiet, meditative experience. The tea is the vessel. The true offering is the calm it brings, the chance to reset one's mind and spirit. As you sip the tea, you notice the subtle yet distinct taste, earthy and slightly bitter, with an undertone that lingers on your tongue. It's a flavor you would never expect from such a simple leaf. And yet, there's something profound about it. You feel it in the way the warmth spreads from your lips to your chest. A small but noticeable comfort in the midst of everything around you. In that moment, the outside world seems far away. Gone are the concerns of daily life, the worries, the rush. You are immersed in the experience, savoring the quiet. The quiet, steady rhythm of the ceremony contrasts sharply with the world outside. Life in the samurai culture was one of constant readiness, with battles, disputes, and honor duels looming at every corner. In such a tumultuous environment, The tea ceremony was an anchor, a sacred ritual that allowed samurai and their guests a rare moment to reflect and be still. It was during these moments of stillness that they could recenter themselves, realign their thoughts, and prepare mentally for whatever came next. Historians debate how the tea ceremony was viewed by different segments of society. Some suggest it was an exclusive ritual, reserved only for the elite samurai class. Others argue that it was a practice that transcended social boundaries, providing anyone in Japan a means to connect with nature, themselves, and others. What is undeniable, however, is that the tea ceremony, in its myriad forms, became an essential cultural fixture, symbolizing a world where time could be stopped, even if just for a moment. As the tea master continues his ritual, you feel yourself drifting deeper into the tranquil atmosphere of the room. The air is thick with the scent of the matcha and the lingering warmth of the fire crackling in the hearth. The shadows stretch across the walls, the light from the flickering flames casting delicate patterns that dance along the wooden beams. The simple yet elegant space, bare of excess decoration, is designed for this very purpose, to encourage focus, simplicity, and harmony. Each piece in the room, from the ceramic bowls to the tatami mats beneath your feet, is carefully chosen for its aesthetic and functional value. You notice the tea master's tools laid out neatly on a small wooden table, everything in its place. Each item a small piece of the larger, intricate whole. His attention to detail, the precision with which he arranges and cleans each item, speaks to a quiet reverence for the process. This is not a hurried affair, it is a deliberate, thought-out experience, where every movement, every choice matters. The tea master lifts the bowl, offering it to you with both hands. A gesture of respect. You accept it, feeling the cool ceramic against your fingers, the weight of the bowl grounding you in the moment. The tea's surface shimmers under the soft glow of the firelight, its smooth surface inviting you to take a sip. The warmth of the bowl transfers to your hands as you bring it closer to your lips. And for a brief moment, you forget everything else. The world outside doesn't matter. All that matters is the taste of the tea and the ritual unfolding before you. When you sip the tea, the bitterness of the matcha greets your senses. But there's a subtle sweetness that follows. You can almost feel the history of the tea, the generations that have passed down this same practice. Each sip a connection to the past. It's a flavor that's simple, yet profound, steeped in tradition. And with each passing moment, you begin to realize how much more this tea represents than just a drink. The tea master's work isn't just about preparing tea. It's about creating a space for mindfulness, where each participant is invited to leave behind the world's chaos and step into a place of peace and reflection. The ceremony is a form of quiet meditation, where time slows and the rush of the outside world fades into the background. In these moments, the tea master teaches something far beyond the art of making tea. He teaches the value of stillness, the importance of being present in the moment, and the power of quiet contemplation. As you sit in silence, the tea master's calm presence seems to fill the room, his actions deliberate and thoughtful. You begin to understand that the real lesson of the tea ceremony is not just about tea, it's about life. It's about balance, respect, and being fully immersed in whatever task is at hand, whether it's pouring tea, tending to the hearth, or drawing the sword in battle. Every action, no matter how small, deserves to be done with reverence and care. The tea ceremony, in its simplicity, offers a profound lesson in living with intention. Historians still debate whether the samurai's embrace of the tea ceremony was driven more by social status or a deeper philosophical connection to the ritual. Some argue that it was simply another way for the samurai to reinforce their social standing, while others suggest that the samurai saw the tea ceremony as a reflection of their inner discipline and mastery of self-control. Regardless of its motivations, the tea ceremony became an integral part of samurai life, embodying the same principles of focus, discipline, and serenity that defined their way of being. The fire in the hearth has burned lower, casting a soft, flickering glow throughout the room. The tea master continues to move with graceful precision, his gestures fluid and measured as he begins to prepare another round of tea. Each movement flows seamlessly into the next, as if part of a larger, unspoken rhythm. You can almost feel the calmness in the air, the way time has slowed in this intimate space. The world outside, the noise, the bustle, the hurried pace of life, feels like a distant memory. You notice the subtle details around you, the carefully placed tatami mats on the floor, the delicate brushstrokes of the calligraphy on the paper scrolls adorning the wall. There's an effortless harmony in the space, a perfect balance between simplicity and beauty. The tea master's space isn't just a room. It's a reflection of his inner state, a manifestation of his calm, meditative presence. Every object in the room, every item of furniture, is carefully chosen and arranged to create a sense of order and tranquility. As you sit there, you realize that the simplicity of the room and the ritualistic preparation of the tea are designed to allow you to focus on what truly matters. There's no room for distractions in this world. Only the tea, the breath of the fire, and the presence of the tea master. Everything is present. Everything is focused. The tea master finally completes his ritual, offering you the bowl once again. His hands, steady and precise, present the bowl with the same respect and care as before. You take the bowl from his hands, feeling its weight once more. The familiar warmth of the ceramic contrasts with the coolness of the evening air that enters the room from the slightly ajar window. Outside, the world remains untouched by time, but inside, you've transcended the ordinary flow of things. You bring the bowl to your lips again, and as you sip the tea, it's as if the world outside has ceased to exist. The taste of the matcha is bold, earthy, and calming. It's a reminder that, in this moment, there is nothing but the present. The tea is more than just a drink. It's a conduit for meditation, a vehicle for mindfulness. You feel your body relax with each sip, your mind quieting, settling into the gentle rhythm of the tea ceremony. The ritual has a way of calming your mind, of stripping away the noise of the world. There's no rush here, no pressure, no need to accomplish anything. This is a space for stillness, for reflection. The tea master's quiet presence guides you deeper into the experience, helping you connect to a sense of peace that's rare in the fast-paced world outside. In these moments, you begin to understand why the samurai held the tea ceremony in such high regard. It wasn't just about drinking tea. It was about creating a moment of balance and harmony in an otherwise chaotic world. Historians still debate whether the samurai's connection to the tea ceremony was purely philosophical, or whether it was deeply tied to their personal and spiritual growth. Some believe that it was a way for the samurai to cultivate inner peace and sharpen their focus, while others argue that it was more about cultivating a sense of social prestige among their peers. Regardless of its exact motivations, The tea ceremony was undeniably an important aspect of samurai culture, an enduring practice that continues to influence the world today. As you sit in silence, savoring the last remnants of the tea, the air in the room feels thick with reflection. The tea master's actions have a purpose beyond just the physical. They are a way of drawing the mind inward, of cultivating patience, discipline, and focus. The tea ceremony is not only a time for the appreciation of tea, but for the appreciation of stillness itself. You start to sense the deep connection between the tea master and his craft. How every gesture, every choice, no matter how small, is an extension of his mindfulness and presence. The stillness in the room contrasts sharply with the world outside, which is full of noise, distractions, and the constant rush of time. In this moment, you begin to understand why the tea master is so deeply attuned to the rhythms of nature and life. His every movement seems to breathe with the pulse of the world. He is not simply preparing tea, he is aligning himself with something much larger: the flow of the seasons, the ebb and flow of life, the silence in the spaces between actions. As you watch him, you become aware of the simple beauty in these small moments. The way his hands, though weathered with age, move with a quiet, practiced elegance. The sound of his breath as he places the tea bowl back on the tray. The faint scent of the matcha lingering in the air. These details, so subtle and ordinary in other contexts, become imbued with meaning here. There's a wisdom in these motions, a deep understanding that time cannot be rushed or forced. It simply must be lived. The tea master finishes his task and looks at you with a serene gaze, his face soft with contentment. There is no need for words, no need to fill the silence. The experience of the tea ceremony itself speaks volumes. You begin to realize that this practice isn't just about the tea or the technique. It's about creating space to be fully present, to immerse yourself in the world as it is without judgment or desire to change it. The act of tea making becomes an act of meditation, a gateway into understanding the delicate balance of life. As you rise to leave, you feel as though something inside you has shifted. You carry with you the quiet hum of the tea master's calm presence, the subtle rhythm of the ceremony that has allowed you to reconnect with the present moment. Time here doesn't pass in the way you're used to. It doesn't rush. It simply unfolds. You leave the room not with a sense of accomplishment, but with a sense of peaceful stillness that lingers, like the last breath of incense after the fire has burned down. Historians debate whether the tea ceremony was primarily an aesthetic practice or a deeply spiritual one for the samurai. Some scholars argue that it was an expression of aesthetic refinement, an opportunity for samurai to show their appreciation for beauty and harmony. Others believe that it was tied to Zen Buddhist practices, where the ceremony was an exercise in mindfulness and self-discipline. Either way, it's clear that the tea ceremony was a core part of the samurai's worldview, serving as a bridge between the martial and the meditative. As you walk away from the room, the teachings of the tea master continue to resonate with you. The simple yet profound actions of the ceremony, pouring, whisking, sipping, have shown you the depth of patience and awareness that the samurai embodied. The practice of the tea ceremony is a quiet rebellion against the frantic pace of the outside world. It is a deliberate choice to slow down and fully engage with each moment, however fleeting. And in this quiet space, the samurai's inner world comes to the forefront. Walking through the garden after the ceremony, you notice the subtle beauty that surrounds you, the soft rustle of the wind through the bamboo, the delicate flutter of petals from a nearby cherry blossom tree. Everything feels more vivid now, as though the simple act of drinking tea has heightened your awareness of the world around you. The garden, carefully tended and cultivated, reflects the same principles as the tea ceremony: balance, harmony, and patience. Each plant has a purpose, each stone placed with intent. The samurai's approach to life, it seems, mirrors that of the garden itself. Each moment carefully considered, each action executed with precision. You find yourself drawn to the small stone bench in the center of the garden. Sitting down, you observe the flowing stream nearby, the water gently tumbling over rocks, always moving, but never rushing. There is a tranquility in this steady flow, a rhythm that seems to align with the natural order of the world. The more you observe, the more you realize how much of the samurai's life was tied to this sense of balance and fluidity. The sword, the art of tea, the contemplative moments in the garden, they are all reflections of the same philosophy: to live in harmony with oneself and the world. Historians have long argued whether samurai culture was inherently spiritual or simply pragmatic. Some scholars point to the Zen influence on the samurai, suggesting that practices like the tea ceremony and meditation were integral to their sense of discipline and purpose. Others argue that samurai were more focused on the martial aspects of their role, seeing the tea ceremony as a social or aesthetic pursuit rather than a spiritual one. What is clear enough, however, is that the way of the samurai was deeply connected to concepts of balance, self-control, and mindfulness. Whether through the art of war or the art of tea, as you sit in the peaceful garden, the teachings of the tea ceremony start to settle in your mind. The more you reflect on the quiet dignity of the ritual, the more you realize it is not simply about drinking tea. It's about learning to be present in the moment, to let go of the distractions of the outside world and find stillness in the midst of life's chaos. The tea master's every movement was deliberate, precise, and intentional. Nothing was rushed. Nothing was forced. Everything flowed naturally, in harmony with the moment. In the samurai tradition, this focus on the present moment extended beyond the tea ceremony. It was a way of life, a discipline that permeated every action, whether on the battlefield or in daily existence. For the samurai, the art of combat was not just about skill with a sword. It was about mastering their own minds, about cultivating a sense of calm and focus that allowed them to remain unshaken in the face of danger. And this was the essence of Bushido, the samurai code of honor. The way of the warrior was not merely physical. It was spiritual and mental as well. The tea ceremony itself was a form of meditation, a practice that allowed the samurai to cultivate inner peace, much like their martial arts training. It taught them to be fully aware of their surroundings, to be patient, and to respond with calmness, even in the face of adversity. The samurai who excelled in tea would often demonstrate the same composure and discipline in their martial prowess, their actions measured, deliberate, and focused. As the sun begins to set, you notice the light softening in the garden. The shadows grow longer, and the quiet atmosphere becomes even more pronounced. The samurai's life, it seems, was an endless search for peace amidst the chaos, whether through the graceful art of tea or the mastery of swordsmanship. Both practices were rooted in mindfulness, an attempt to quiet the mind and align with the natural flow of the world around them. Historians still debate whether the samurai were truly as spiritual as their Zen-influenced practices would suggest. Some believe that samurai culture was heavily influenced by Confucianism and military discipline, rather than by spiritual or meditative ideals. Others point to the deep influence of Zen Buddhism, which sought to quiet the mind through focused, simple practices like tea. What is undeniable, however, is that the samurai were warriors of extraordinary discipline, capable of achieving both physical and mental mastery. And it was this dual focus on both the mind and body that made them so formidable. As you sit in the fading light of the garden, the air grows cooler, and you begin to feel the weight of the stillness around you. It's easy to get lost in the rhythm of the tea ceremony, to focus solely on the steps, the gestures, and the silence. But there's something deeper, something more profound. The tea, the quiet, the slowness. It's all part of a larger philosophy. Time, for the samurai, was not something to be rushed or controlled. It was a flow, a current that could only be understood when you let go of the need to control it. And that was something that would serve them well in battle, as well as in life. As the tea master places the tea bowl in front of you, you take a deep breath, remembering the teachings. The ceremony is not just about drinking, it's about accepting, receiving. The tea is a gift, a symbol of the connection between you and the world around you. As you lift the bowl to your lips, you notice that the simplicity of the moment holds a deeper meaning. The act of drinking tea is not just a physical sensation. It's a meditation, a way to connect with your inner self and with the natural world around you. The samurai understood this deeply, and their connection to the tea ceremony was not just cultural, it was spiritual. You can feel the connection between the tea, the earth, and the air. The ceremony was a constant reminder that everything was interconnected. The trees, the mountains, the wind. They all played a role in this moment. And just as in their martial arts, the samurai understood that every action, no matter how small, had its place in the grand design, each movement in the tea ceremony. From the pouring of the water to the handling of the cup, was a reflection of a larger order, a flow of energy that connected everything in the universe. In this quiet, tranquil moment, it's easy to see how the tea ceremony became such an integral part of the samurai's life. It was a way to remind themselves of the world beyond their own personal ambitions and the harsh realities of their work as warriors. It allowed them to center themselves, to focus, and to remember that life, at its core, was about harmony. In the midst of all the violence, all the wars, and all the battles they fought, the samurai found peace in the tea bowl, and in doing so, were reminded of the stillness within. Historians debate whether the samurai's adherence to Zen-inspired practices like tea drinking was truly reflective of their overall worldview, or if it was simply a means of coping with the brutal demands of their role in society. Some argue that these practices were a way to nurture their spiritual well-being in a chaotic world, while others suggest they were just part of a larger cultural trend, a way for the samurai to showcase refinement alongside their martial prowess. Regardless of the reasoning, the importance of tea in their lives is undeniable. It was both a personal practice and a public statement of their disciplined, mindful approach to life. You're still sitting there, the tea bowl in your hands, the warmth seeping into your palms, when the quiet is interrupted by the soft murmur of the wind through the trees. It's as if the natural world is speaking to you, joining in the silence of the ceremony. Your mind drifts, thinking about the samurai's relationship with nature. For them, nature wasn't just something to be admired. It was a reflection of their own inner lives. The calm, the beauty, the power, all mirrored in the simplicity of the tea ceremony. The samurai saw their relationship with nature as an essential part of their identity. They believed that understanding the natural world helped them understand themselves. The rhythm of the seasons, the way the plants grew, and the way the animals moved were all lessons in patience, balance, and perseverance. Each moment spent in nature, whether it was in the quiet garden or the vast expanse of the mountains, was a moment of self-reflection. Every movement, from the smallest rustle of a leaf to the powerful surge of a waterfall, was a lesson in living in harmony with the world. You watch as the tea master, with his carefully measured movements, refills the tea bowl, the sound of water pouring into the cup almost hypnotic. His hands are steady, sure, and deliberate, each movement part of the greater flow of time. There is nothing rushed about the way he moves. The ceremony is not about the destination, but the journey. It's about savoring each moment, letting it unfold naturally, and allowing yourself to be immersed in the rhythm of life. As you take another sip of tea, you realize how much of the samurai's world revolved around this concept of mindfulness. Their fighting styles, their approach to combat, were rooted in the same principles. A samurai didn't just react in battle. They flowed with the fight, anticipating movements before they even occurred. The same focus and awareness that allowed them to perform well in combat were also the same qualities that guided their participation in the tea ceremony. It was about awareness, presence, and a deep connection to the present moment. In a world where war and strife were common, where each day could bring new challenges, the tea ceremony offered a rare moment of peace. It allowed the samurai to step away from the noise, to ground themselves, and to focus on what truly mattered. The world outside may have been filled with chaos, but here, in the simple act of tea drinking, they found a way to center themselves, to return to the core of their purpose, and to remember the importance of balance. Historians debate the extent to which the samurai truly embraced Zen philosophy in their daily lives. Some suggest that their devotion to practices like tea drinking was a genuine reflection of their desire for enlightenment, while others believe it was merely a cultural trend, a way to cultivate an image of refinement and wisdom. Regardless of the motivations, it's clear that tea drinking, and the mindfulness it embodied, played a central role in their lives. It offered them something to hold on to, something that could bring them peace amidst the chaos of their world. As you sit there, the soft rhythm of the tea master's movements guiding you, you can't help but wonder how the samurai managed to navigate the pressures of their world. Theirs was a life of constant expectation, honor, loyalty, and strength were the traits most associated with them. Yet, here in this humble tea room, there's no rush, no violence, only a deep serenity. The samurai's connection to tea isn't about show or spectacle. It's a form of mental preparation. Every cup, every precise movement is a way to reset, to gather strength for whatever challenges might arise next. The tea ceremony serves as a reminder that even the most disciplined warriors, who lived by the sword, needed time to step away and engage with their inner peace. This sacred space, where all outside concerns are momentarily forgotten, allows the samurai to regain their composure. The ceremony itself is a form of armor. but of a very different kind. Instead of swords and shields, it's made of the strength found within. As you observe the tea master's meticulous actions, you can feel the weight of the tradition behind them. For centuries, the tea ceremony had been more than just a ritual. It was a philosophy, an art form that transcended the boundaries of the tea room. Each movement, each gesture, was infused with meaning. It was as much about how the tea was served as it was about what it represented. A spiritual discipline that encouraged humility, respect, and a profound understanding of one's place in the world. The tea ceremony isn't about indulgence or luxury. It's about simplicity and sincerity. Everything in the room, the tatami mats, the low wooden table, the tiny utensils, speaks of a world where less is more. The samurai would have understood this principle intuitively. Their very lives were a lesson in discipline and restraint. In their practice of tea, they took that same principle of simplicity and applied it to their inner selves, creating a space where they could reflect on their actions, their role in the world, and their personal journey toward enlightenment. And yet, there's a quiet paradox in this tradition. The samurai, who were known for their skill in battle, had learned to wield a weapon of a different kind here in the tea room. The weapon of stillness. To be still. To sit in quiet contemplation. To let go of everything else and focus only on the present moment. That, in itself, is a powerful skill. The tea master's ability to remain composed and calm in the face of everything that could be happening outside the room is a kind of strength, a form of mastery over the self that the samurai would have greatly admired. Historians still debate whether the tea ceremony truly had a profound impact on the samurai's way of life, or if it was simply another element of cultural refinement. Some argue that the mental clarity gained from such practices helped the samurai in battle, while others see it as more of a social custom, a way to align with the elite intellectual circles of the time. What remains undeniable, however, is that the tea ceremony served as an important anchor for the samurai, a way to center themselves before they returned to the chaos of their daily lives. As the tea master pours the last drops of the warm golden tea into your cup, you're struck by how profoundly this simple act has affected your state of mind. The tea, though just a humble infusion, feels like a bridge between the ancient practices of the samurai and the present moment. It's as if, through the tea, you're connecting with something larger, something timeless. You hold the delicate porcelain cup in your hands, its warmth seeping into your skin. And for a moment, the outside world fades away completely. This is not just tea. This is an experience. The tea master's calm demeanor, his graceful movements, the silence enveloping the room, everything contributes to the feeling that time itself has slowed down. It's as though the ritual of making and drinking tea has created a space where nothing exists except for this moment. This is what the samurai experienced in their practice. And it's no wonder that they could perform feats of unimaginable discipline and focus. But then, you realize something crucial. The samurai's life was not one of constant tea ceremonies. Their lives were filled with the harsh realities of battle, politics, and often warfare. The tea ceremony was their way of finding balance in a world that was often chaotic and violent. It was a way to reconnect with their inner peace, to remind themselves of their purpose, and to give themselves the space to reflect on their actions, both in and out of battle. Through tea, they learned to quiet their minds and return to their center, no matter what challenges lay ahead. The dichotomy between the life of a warrior and the stillness of the tea ceremony is fascinating. The tea ceremony was not about escapism, it was about preparation. The samurai were warriors, and their role in society demanded that they be ever ready, ever watchful. Yet, in the quietude of the tea room, they allowed themselves a brief respite, a brief moment of stillness where they could confront their inner selves and, in doing so, become better prepared to face the world outside. And you begin to realize that this stillness is not just for the samurai. The tea ceremony has a universal quality to it. In a world that often feels rushed, cluttered, and overwhelming, the idea of taking a moment to pause, to breathe, and to center oneself feels more relevant than ever. Perhaps, in this modern world, we have lost touch with the importance of silence, of stillness, of reflection. Perhaps, like the samurai, we could all benefit from taking a step back and allowing ourselves to be present in the moment, to embrace the flow of time and find balance in our hectic lives. Historians still wonder whether the samurai truly embraced the teachings of Zen Buddhism through the tea ceremony, or whether it was more of a social practice. Some argue that the deep connection between Zen and the tea ceremony was intrinsic to the samurai's ability to find peace, while others maintain that the samurai saw it as more of a cultural obligation, a way to align themselves with the intellectual elites of their time. Regardless of their personal motivations, it is clear that the tea ceremony became an integral part of their daily life, a practice that brought both solace and strength, a gentle yet powerful ritual that allowed them to reconnect with their core before returning to the complexities of their world. You're now sitting with the tea master, sipping the last of the warm tea from your cup. The subtle flavors linger on your tongue, and you can't help but appreciate the deep satisfaction of the quiet, contemplative moment you've just shared. The room is still and peaceful, the only sound being the soft crackle of the fire burning in the hearth. The warm glow of the flames dances across the walls, casting long, gentle shadows that seem to mirror the slow rhythm of time passing in the tea room. As you sit, you begin to reflect on the samurai's mindset. They weren't just warriors in the traditional sense. They were also scholars, poets, and artists. The discipline that made them formidable on the battlefield also fueled their ability to appreciate beauty, to understand the nuances of art, and to cultivate wisdom. The tea ceremony, with its slow, methodical pace and emphasis on simplicity and elegance, was an embodiment of these values. It's in the stillness of the tea ceremony that you begin to understand the samurai's approach to life. Everything they did, whether on the battlefield, in their homes, or during moments of quiet reflection like this, was approached with the same level of discipline. In the tea ceremony, there was no room for carelessness or distraction. Every movement was intentional, every gesture meaningful. The samurai's philosophy was to embrace the present moment fully, and in doing so, find clarity and purpose in every action. And yet, you also realize that this intense focus on the present moment didn't mean the samurai were detached from the world. Quite the opposite. They were fully immersed in the world around them, especially in the tea ceremony. They appreciated the fleeting beauty of a single drop of tea, or the delicate design of a hand-painted tea bowl. These small, often overlooked details were to the samurai what the sword was to the warrior, tools for navigating the world and finding meaning in everyday life. But as you sit there, it dawns on you that the samurai's relationship with time was more than just philosophical. It was deeply practical. The practice of tea wasn't just a way of calming the mind or appreciating art. It was also a way to center themselves before going into battle. Imagine it. A samurai, dressed in armor, feeling the weight of the world and the responsibility of war pressing on them. Before stepping onto the battlefield, they would retreat to a quiet space and partake in the tea ceremony. The slow, deliberate actions of the tea master would serve as a moment to calm the nerves, to focus the mind, and to prepare for the violence and chaos to come. And you realize that this approach to time, to stillness, to silence, to presence, was essential to the samurai's ability to move with purpose, to live with honor, and to approach their battles not just with strength, but with mindfulness. The tea ceremony wasn't about escaping the world. It was about engaging with it more fully, with clear eyes and a steady heart. Historians continue to debate whether the tea ceremony had a direct impact on the samurai's combat skills, or whether it was merely an intellectual and spiritual exercise. Some scholars argue that the calming nature of the ceremony helped the samurai control their fear and anxiety, while others believe that the ritualistic nature of the tea ceremony was an expression of the samurai's broader understanding of life and death. Either way, it's clear that the tea ceremony played a central role in the samurai's understanding of time and their relationship to the world around them. As the evening draws on, the tea ceremony continues to unfold in quiet serenity. The flickering light from the hearth casts warm, golden hues on the walls, and the silence between you and the tea master is palpable. You've come to appreciate the subtlety of the tea ceremony, the deliberate pauses, the careful, almost meditative movements, and the precision with which each part of the process is carried out. It's in these moments that you realize how much time the samurai dedicated to perfecting this art form, seeing it as much a practice of the mind as it was of the body. The tea master's hands move with fluid grace as they prepare the next serving of tea. Their gestures slow and deliberate. It's a dance that has been refined over years, even centuries. The samurai's relationship with time, as embodied in this ceremony, has a rhythm to it that is almost impossible to put into words. You begin to notice the quiet beauty in the way the tea master handles the utensils, each brushstroke with the whisk, each flick of the wrist as the tea is poured, is an expression of their mastery. This is not simply about preparing tea. It is about perfecting every moment, finding beauty in simplicity, and maintaining balance in every action. As you sip the next cup of tea, its warmth spreads through you, and you can feel your body relax into the rhythm of the ceremony. There's a peace in this room, a stillness that you realize is the product of a lifestyle devoted to living in the present moment. Time is measured not by the ticking of a clock, but by the sequence of actions and the flow of energy within the space. The tea master's quiet composure is infectious, and you find yourself drawn into this calm world. You feel, for the first time, what it might be like to live a life dedicated to the present, where every action is intentional, every thought considered, and every moment savored. But there's more to the samurai's relationship with time than simply cultivating stillness and peace. As you sit there, listening to the soft murmurs of the tea master as they guide you through the ceremony, you realize that this focus on time was also about control. Control over the body, the mind, and the world around them. The samurai's discipline was not just about perfecting their swordsmanship or combat strategies. It was about mastering the flow of time itself. They knew how to focus, how to center themselves, and how to avoid the distractions that would derail their goals. The samurai, in their practice of tea, took time not as an abstract concept, but as a force that could be shaped and controlled. They approached each task, no matter how mundane or grand, with the same level of attention to detail. To them, there was no such thing as a wasted moment. Every second had purpose, and every movement, no matter how small, was an opportunity for improvement. It's in this understanding that the samurai's unique relationship with time becomes apparent. They did not measure time in hours or minutes, but in the mastery of each moment. The ritual of tea was just one aspect of this broader philosophy of living fully in the present, with every action tied to a greater sense of purpose. You begin to feel the weight of this realization, and as you watch the tea master prepare the tea for the final time, you understand that this simple act, performed by countless generations before, is far more than just a ceremony. It is a reflection of the samurai's worldview, their deep understanding of time as something to be respected, honored, and carefully managed. As the tea master's hands move with grace and purpose, you too feel a subtle shift in your own understanding of time. The clock no longer seems important. The rhythm of life, the movements of the body, and the delicate balance of being in the moment. All of these seem more real, more vital. Historians still argue about the true role of the tea ceremony in samurai life. Was it purely a spiritual practice, or was it a way to sharpen the samurai's senses and keep their minds sharp for the battlefield? Some scholars believe it was both, suggesting that the calm, reflective nature of the ceremony was a way to prepare the samurai for the mental and emotional demands of war. Others argue that the tea ceremony was simply another aspect of samurai culture, one that emphasized the beauty of simple, everyday moments. Whatever the exact reasoning, it's clear that the tea ceremony was integral to the samurai's worldview and their relationship to time. As the evening grows later, the room seems to hum with an unspoken rhythm. The tea master's last serving is poured, and the remaining embers in the hearth cast a soft glow on the surroundings. The moment is quiet, almost sacred, and you feel as if the world has slowed down, focusing on nothing but the stillness of the space. Time feels different now, more fluid and less constrained by the ticking of a clock. The sounds of the world outside the room, the wind rustling the trees, the distant call of birds, the occasional creak of the house settling, feel far away, as if they exist in another reality. You sit back and think about what you've just witnessed. The ritual of the tea ceremony. There's a quiet elegance in the way the tea master moves, in the deliberate nature of their actions. They have honed these movements over countless years, perfecting every gesture, every pause, until it becomes second nature. It's easy to see how this practice is not just about making tea, but about mastering the flow of time itself. Each motion, each step, is an exercise in mindfulness, in being present in the moment. In this world, there is no rush. There is no urgency to get from one place to another, no anxiety over what comes next. The world seems to have slowed down to match the calm, steady pace of the ceremony. Time, in this space, is not something to be conquered, but something to be appreciated. It's a reminder that time is something that can be experienced, not just measured. The tea master doesn't need a clock to know when the right moment has arrived. They simply know by feel, by intuition, by the quiet presence of the moment itself. As you reflect on this, You realize that the samurai's approach to time is not about denying the passage of time, but about embracing it fully. They don't fear time, nor do they try to control it. Instead, though, they move with it, flowing with its rhythms and patterns. The tea ceremony, with its quiet precision, teaches you that time is not something that happens to you, but something you can be a part of. In the silence of the room, you feel a sense of peace, as if time has become less of a force and more of a companion. Historians often speculate on the deeper meaning behind the samurai's relationship with time. Some suggest that the practice of tea was a way to cultivate patience and discipline, essential virtues for a warrior. Others argue that it was a spiritual practice, a means of aligning oneself with the universe and the natural flow of life. Still, others see it as a way for the samurai to disconnect from the chaos of war and find inner calm. Whatever the case, it is clear that time for the samurai was not a simple, linear progression. It was something that could be shaped, molded, and understood on a deeper level. As the tea master finishes the ceremony, they offer a final bow, and you return the gesture in kind. The room, though silent now, feels alive with the energy of the moment. Time has passed, but it hasn't been lost. It has been honored, savored, and understood in a way that modern life often fails to do. In the stillness, you feel a connection to something much larger than yourself, something timeless, something eternal. You realize, with a sense of peace, that the tea ceremony has not just been a lesson in how to prepare tea. It has been a lesson in how to live. It's about finding balance, embracing the present, and understanding that time is not something to rush through, but something to experience fully. As the embers in the hearth burn low, you feel the weight of this lesson settle in your bones, and you leave the room with a new understanding of time, a time that is quiet, gentle, and deeply connected to the world around you. As the final embers of the fire glow softly in the hearth, you begin to feel the peacefulness of the moment sink deeper. The quiet of the room, the gentle flicker of the flame, and the steady rhythm of your breath all merge into a soothing stillness. The weight of time, once something to be chased, has now become a calm companion, flowing with the rhythm of the world around you. The lessons of the tea ceremony, of patience, of balance, of mindfulness, linger in the quiet space of your mind. In this moment, there is no urgency, no need to move faster or do more. Time, here, is not a ticking clock, but a gentle current, guiding you forward, giving you the space to simply be. As the night wraps its cool, quiet embrace around you, you feel the sense of peace that comes from understanding the flow of time. In the world of the samurai, time wasn't something you fought against. It was something you became part of, something you embraced with each movement, each breath, and, just for now, in the calm of the night, you do the same. Now, as you drift further into this stillness, let the quietness of time settle into you, letting the peace of the moment fill every corner of your mind. There's no need for more, just the quiet presence of time, of breath, of calm. As you close your eyes, you're not in a rush. You're simply here, in this timeless moment, and you are part of it all. Good night, sleep well, and let time slow just for you.